I want this chance to show you that your God in karate is so much nonsense. And that's quite easy to do. I know Kung Fu.
Show me.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, thank you for tuning into another exciting edition of H8O Proudly Presents the Fist Fights and Fried Rice Podcast. I am your host, Tazz, aka the voice of a fucking generation, filling your ear holes with that sweet, sweet vernacular that you had no idea that you were longing for. Well, now you do, and you're welcome. Joined with me, as always, I have an eclectic group of assholes, also here to provide you with that sweet vernacular. Up first, a man that truly needs no introduction. He is an original OG of the Fist Fights crew, rolling 15 inches deep, knocking at the knees, the destroyer of all things ovaries, the man, the myth, the meat, the legend. We proudly bring to you the Bastatch of the H8L, Lobo.
I was born ready, Tazz.
We thank you for it, sir. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have us a special guest. Now, he's not just a special guest. He is a confidant. He's the man of the hour. The man whose beard has brought quite a country of ladies to the knees. Ladies and gentlemen, this man's beard is so majestic. When he walks into a public place, 9 times out of 10, they got to cause a rain delay because this man's beard makes it moist in the atmosphere. Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly bring to you the Coos.
Hey, Santa ain't got shit on me.
And of course, ladies and gentlemen, no podcast is ever complete without the Rain Man of martial arts, the encyclopedia of all things combat sports. This man is the self-appointed, self-reigning, self-loathing, self-acknowledged black man of Dagestan. We proudly, and I mean proudly, bring to you Justice Magnificent.
What's up? Back in the building?
Yeah. Rolling deep for the 2024. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You got jokes, see?
Gentlemen, we're here. And we are talking ninjas. Awesomeness and absurdities. Now, this show's going to be a little different. We're not going to go down the rabbit hole of the history of ninjas. We're not going to talk about the 16th century, 17th century, all that other shit, all that other stuff. There's a time and a place for that, and it's not going to be tonight. Tonight, we are about things in regards to ninjas in terms of pop culture, everyday conversations. This is going to be a different kind of show, but it is going to be fun. So, quick question, let me ask you guys. Just in terms of pop culture, you can use your childhood, you can use what you've recently saw, memories of the past. In terms of ninjas, honestly, in your own opinion, could be real life, could be fiction, I don't give a shit. What are your most recognized characters of ninjas? Because I gotta say, for me, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, and the Shredder. Everybody else can eat a dick.
Yeah.
You can kind of throw in Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
You bastard. I mean, honestly, yeah, you'd have to. You'd have to throw in Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Ermac, and Rain, and Reptile. I guess I love the fact that ninjas have become such a mainstay in fighting games that it's almost rare to find a fighting game that doesn't have a ninja, or at least a partitioner of ninjutsu in it. Who was that shitty Blade knockoff that was in Tekken?
Oh, Raven.
He looked like shit. like shit.
Yeah, I think he was one of the worst characters in the game.
Hands down. But speaking of games, since we hit that segue, let me ask you guys this. In terms of ninjas, now some of you may be too young, Coos, for these games. Some of you may not. But in terms of iconic status, in terms of ninja games, Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi, who takes that title?
Ooh.
No, there's no. There's only one correct answer for this one.
Ninja Gaiden.
Goddamn right. Ninja Gaiden was dope. All three of those fucking games were dope as shit. Now, my video game knowledge kind of died off at the end of the series. So with that being said, did Ninja Gaiden ever get ported over to like the PS3, 4, and 5, and Xbox One and all that shit?
I believe the last game was on PS3.
Damn. That long ago, huh?
Yeah.
Because I know Shinobi got an upgrade or a reboot or some shit. I don't was that on PS3 or Xbox?
I think so, but it wasn't that good.
Oh no. I tell you, the ninja games that I always loved that never got the fucking love that it deserved was Tenchu, Stealth Assassins.
It was cool. What about The Legend of Kage?
I couldn't afford that game, so you know.
Sir, it was in the arcade. Don't try that.
I could. And to answer your question, Justice, Legend of Kage was okay. It was all right.
I mean, it was one of the first.
It was okay. I deep down inside, even though I was a Ninja Gaiden fan and always will be for life, I still had a soft spot in my heart for Shinobi because that was one of the first games that I could think of where you could take like the throwing stars and on certain levels the ninjas are jumping at you and you could take them out with the throwing stars. I thought that shit was dope. Oh, I'm alone on that. All right, fuck you guys. I don't care. But you're not a real ninja fan, are you?
No.
No, I loved all those games back in the day, man. When I was a kid, I was a big fan of ninjas and shit, especially growing up in the '80s at the literal height and craze of the reign of ninjas. That shit was everywhere. I remember my friends having birthday parties that were ninja themed, you know, playing hide and go seek dressed like ninjas and shit. I'm gonna go ahead and tell on myself now. I still know how to make a ninja mask out of a t-shirt without having to cut it or tear it. Yep,
That is impressive.
it is.
I will.
It's a lot easier than you think.
Don't spoil that. He didn't know.
I will say the early 2000s didn't have too much ninja content.
No, because by that time, dude, the craze had fucking died out. Like,
I mean, there was that like Lego series, Ninjago.
That barely counts.
oh, I always read that as Ninja Go. Oh, that makes much more sense.
They had 15 seasons.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was really popular. I think it still is.
Wow, okay. I did not know that. I thought that was like one of those fly-by-night Lego things that was kind of like here today, gone today. Kind of like Lego Batman, which didn't get the love it deserved.
They're still making games.
Are they any good?
Meh.
I mean, Batman not a real ninja.
Don't do that.
I've heard the biggest one
Don't you do
in
that.
theirs is like
You do that on
Lego
purpose.
Star Wars. That's the big one.
You're gaslighting me, sir.
Huh?
Purposely doing that on
Hey,
purpose.
there's a Ninja Batman movie.
You are fucking gaslighting me, sir.
Batman's not really a ninja, so they got to make him into a ninja.
Are you really doing this? Like, are you really starting off the show talking shit?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just making a statement.
How is Batman not a ninja, sir? The League of Assassins? Hello?
I mean,
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Yeah, what about that, Justice? Huh? Assassin's Creed.
it doesn't count.
I'm starting to question if you even know what a ninja is. Anyways. We will circle back to that shit later. Anyways. Yes, we were talking ninjas of pop culture. Like I said, growing up in the 80s, ninjas were all the rage. And the man that led the charge was one Sho Kosugi. This man was everywhere in the 80s. Martial art magazines, TV shows, movies, TV commercials. If it involved ninjas, he was there. Him and his two sons, Kane and Shane Kosugi. Little side note, his son Kane is still making movies today. Is still a pretty decent sized star. I always felt kind of bad for him because the dude has the on-screen ability of a badass. Your dad's a real-life ninja. You're a fucking ninja. Your fight scenes are better than probably 90% of most of the people out there. But god damn it, he just looks confused in every fucking scene. And he can't act for shit, unfortunately. But his fight scenes are amazing.
Yeah, that is the problem with him. But I mean, for people who like these movies, he's a big name.
Yeah, like I thought him and Jet Li were gonna have this great epic showdown in what was that movie, War, with Jet Li and Jason Statham. Kane Kosugi plays one of like the fucking minion bad guys, and I just knew it was gonna be this
That's
epic
right.
battle between him and Jet Li. I just knew it was. And then Jet Li takes a car rim and smashes his fucking face with it. God damn it. That was it. I also didn't realize this until venturing down the rabbit hole that Kane Kosugi was on one of the Japanese series of Power Rangers, one of the Ninja series, as a matter of fact, and was the only motherfucker on the show that didn't speak any Japanese. Which I thought were hilarious, and all of them are in English.
That's actually amazing.
It's hilarious. Like, some of the scenes are like, let's go, guys.
So is this Power Rangers or Super Sentai?
I want to say Super Sentai. I'm almost positive it's Super Sentai. I think he was a really popular character. It's just, again, he got kind of shitted on because he didn't speak any Japanese. It was also one of those things where he kind of got, shit on by the Japanese public because he wasn't fully Japanese either. If I remember right, I think he's like Japanese and Chinese or something like that. He's a badass though. I think he was in Ninja Sentai Kaku Ranger. I hope I'm saying that right. Kaku. I have a feeling I might have to.
That's how I would have pronounced.
Are you just saying that because don't get me fined, dude?
But here's the thing: I was about to mention it, but that's the one thing I was concerned about.
Getting us fined?
No, not getting a fine. The pronunciation.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna fuck all this.
Oh, I forgot about that. He's in Tekken. He's in one of the Tekken movies.
Was he?
Yeah, he's in Tekken 2, Kazuya's Revenge, which has nothing to do with the first Tekken movie.
And he was in Dead or Alive too, wasn't he?
Yep.
I remember back in I want to say it was like back in the 90s or early 2000s. I remember one of the fighting magazines, I don't know if it was Black Belt Magazines or Karate Illustrated or one of those publications, but they had published this shit about how him and his dad had a pretty big falling out. Like, his dad has a number of like schools and institutes. And if I remember right, I think that his son Kane opted to not help his dad with the family business or run the schools or whatever, and decided that he was going to try his career in Japanese television and movies instead. And I remember them making a pretty big deal about Sho Kosugi referring to Kane as a coward and saying that he basically stabbed him in the back. I want to say by now I think they've reconciled, but I know that was a pretty big deal back in the early 2000s. Dude literally referred to his son as Judas. That was a Bible reference, Coos.
I understand. I grew up Christian.
Yeah, man. But like I said, him and his.
But he seems to have made it though, on his own at least.
Oh yeah, he definitely
Prior
did.
to making up.
He's in a shit ton of movies and a shit ton of TV shows. He's damn near shared the screen with almost everybody who's worth sharing the screen with.
Yeah, if you needed a ninja back in the day, you called him.
You called that whole family. You just dial 1-800 need a ninja, and you just got the Kosugi clan. And boy,
Apparently, he even took some of Sho's staff with him, like some of his own guys.
oh word?
Mm-hmm.
That would probably piss me off. I think he was correct me if I'm wrong. Was he ever? What was that other series? It was like it wasn't Power Rangers. It was like the one with the bugs and insects. Kamen Rider, was he one of those?
Sho Kosugi or Kane?
Kane. I'm probably wrong then. I got all those fucking shows like all mixed up and shit. But yeah, his dad was everywhere in the fucking 80s, man. Justice, you remember, I don't know if you had it in your neck of the woods, but did you guys ever have the Sunday matinee ninja theater with Sho Kosugi?
So they did.
Oh shit!
They did.
That was
Yeah,
where you
my
watched
uncle-
all the ninja movies.
My uncle was a big fan. Yeah, big fan.
I love the fact that this dude's a legit real life ninja and still runs ninjutsu dojos and clinics and all this other type of shit, and is still acting in ninja movies today. Like I geeked out pretty hard when I saw him as the old ninja master in Ninja Assassin.
You said Ninja Assassin?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He was the old guy that was running the dojo.
He was. He was.
Yeah, he was taking the switch and hitting the kids on the bottom of the feet with it. And I gotta say, for his age, he looks fantastic.
Yeah. Now that I know he runs a school, I got to make a pilgrimage and go out there.
As you should, sir. As you should.
Like I said, follow your dreams.
You heard it.
All right, then I'm going to need someone to turn me into a turtle man then.
Speaking of Turtle, I do think that was also a huge boost in the ninja craze of the 80s and 90s, and hell, even the 2000s, was the fact of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were on top of the fucking world during that time. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing those toys, seeing that cartoon, the fucking costumes, the weapons. It's still riding strong today, but man, 80s and 90s, they were untouchable. Absolutely untouchable.
They were everywhere when I was a kid too.
Same, man, growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've probably seen the first Ninja Turtle movie probably like 100 times.
That first movie still, in my opinion, is still the best out of all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Everything from the costumes to the fight choreography, even to that soundtrack, T.U.R.T.L.E Power. It's a great line.
I mean, I preferred the soundtrack on 2 than the first one.
Sir, no, you did
But
not.
the first one's a better movie.
No, you did not. You did not.
Well, you don't like Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go?
Wait, hang on.
Damn right.
He's gaslighting me. There is no way you liked Ninja Rap over Turtle Power.
I did.
You did not.
I did.
Outside of Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go, you couldn't recite one line out of that song.
That's not the point.
That is the point, because Turtle Power was a dope-ass track. On the half shell, they're the Heroes 4. in this day and age. Who could ask for more? So that shit's dope.
So let me ask you guys this question because I recently discovered this. Have you read or heard anything about the comic book that the brothers of the guys who made Ninja Turtles did?
The brothers of the guys that made Ninja Turtles.
The guys who created Ninja Turtle, they had two brothers, and they both made a Ninja series comic.
No. What was it called?
Horse Ninja.
Horse Ninja?
I shit you not. There's a comic series called Horse Ninja, and a really shitty movie was made in, like, I want to say the late 90s for it.
And there's a warm spot in hell for them for that. No, that Ninja Turtles movie was fucking classic. You really doing this, huh? You're really doing this. For those who can't see, a certain a-hole named Justice Magnificent decided to put the dumbass Vanilla Ice Ninja Rap music video in the chat, knowing that I now have to one-up him and go find Turtle Power and put that shit in the chat.
It's not the same. Vanilla Ice was on top of the world then.
Sir, amazing. Turtle Power had some of the greatest zingers ever. Like Tonto came pronto when there was danger. He didn't say he'd be there in half an hour because he displayed Turtle Power. Come on. That is classic.
That was dope. Who's rapping that song?
Apparently me, motherfucker.
Because I've never heard of those gentlemen.
Sir, you have heard of them.
Have I?
Yes, you have.
You sure?
I'm sure. If you were to look them up, you would know.
I heard of Vanilla Ice.
First off, it was okay. For those who don't know, Turtle Power from the 1990 movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was written, produced, and performed by hip-hop group Partners in Crime. The end.
Boo.
Wow, we're doing this?
Wait, who are they?
They're Partners in Crime, Coos.
Yeah, okay.
Whom they are is irrelevant. What they have done for hip-hop speaks volumes.
Whoa. 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 What they have done for hip hop. Whoa. 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 Whoa there, buddy.
Living legends. And you know that they're legit when they spell crime with a K and a Y instead of an I. And they're from Justice's neck of the woods, New York.
I'm just saying, that ain't it.
DJ Keymaster Snow and MC Golden Voice. Turtle Power in 1990. They had another track called Undercover. And for reasons unknown, back in 2015, they had they had another Ninja Turtle based song called Rock the Half Shell.
Turtle Power did surprisingly the chart.
Right? That shit actually charted.
13th in the US.
One of the most popular movies of all time.
And then if you really think about it, I mean, Ninja Rap is a classic. I'll give Vanilla Ice that credit. I will. I'll give him that. And as Justice had stated, Vanilla Ice was on top of the world. He was untouchable. He was. But people forget, the first Ninja Turtle movies was an independent movie. Didn't have big studio backing, so they couldn't afford the likes of Vanilla Ice on that first movie. So what they did, they took it to the streets and found the voice of the streets. Partners in Crime, DJ Golden Voice, and fucking MC what the fuck ever, Get Busy, or whoever the fuck the other one was. T.U.R.T.L.E helped many urban youths learn how to spell the word turtle.
Wow. Wow.
Cementing
Okay.
their place in hip hop history forever. But we knew this was going to be a great show, hence why we're talking about the awesomeness and absurdities of all things. As we were stating earlier on, there's no way we're going to be able to cover everything in one show, so we're obviously going to be skipping around. We're going to be avoiding the Ashita Kims and the Stephen K. Hayes and all that type of shit. We'll be getting to that on another episode. One of the things I definitely wanted to touch base on was what brought about this entire conversation. We are going to be venturing down the rabbit hole, not fully and thoroughly of the, how do you pronounce it? Is it Boonjikan? Is that how you pronounce it? Boonjinkan? Am I saying that shit right? Yeah, close enough. The Boonjinkan or whatever.
Rain Man.
For those, yeah, exactly. Rain Man. How do you pronounce that?
I have no clue.
Okay,
None.
Bujinkan it is. For those who don't know, Bujinkan is the existing ninjutsu system founded by a one Masaki Hatsumi, I guess you can call him the godfather of ninjutsu, I guess. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. He is still alive to this day, and he is running and teaching his descended and historical ninjutsu / samurai tactics that apparently have been passed down from generation to generation. I bring him up because many of the individuals that we're going to be talking about over the next episode or so have made their way through the Bunjinkan and have spawned off to create their own styles and systems, such as Stephen K. Hayes and Robert Bussey. Robert Bussey is who we're going to be pretty much focusing on for the most part, because I feel like Robert Bussey, in my opinion, till this day, still has some bragging rights. And bragging rights that nobody can take away from him. But before we venture down that rabbit hole of Robert Bussey and his bragging rights, I put in there in the chat in regards to a certain other American ninja that I thought his story was fascinating, and I was curious to see if anybody had ever heard of him other than myself. And I'm talking about, damn, I forgot his name already. Damn. Oh, Professor Ronald Duncan, the Black Ninja. And I'm curious, have any of you had ever heard of him prior to the chat?
I have.
Nope.
I mean, he is the living encyclopedia of all things martial knowledge. So, sir, if you'd be so kind, go ahead and drop a little knowledge on Professor Ronald Duncan for us.
Professor Ronald Duncan, pretty much is what a lot of people consider the father of American Ninjutsu. Not Stephen Hayes, which is crazy. Excuse me. He traveled during his time in the military and got like black belts in multiple different systems, multiple traditional Japanese systems, judo, aikido jitsu, kempo, the weaponry art. He got a bunch of experience. And once he was out, he went to the inner city, started teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of people like give him a lot of people give him a lot of shit, but at the same time, he was one of the ones that fought harder than anyone else to legitimize ninjutsu.
It has
In
been fighting
It's
that.
a shame he doesn't get the credit he deserves then.
Yeah, and we talking about in a real way, not the way that Stephen Hayes tried with the with the schemes and the get rich get rich quick schemes and the name change and things like that. He really tried to legitimize it. So he did get a lot of respect amongst the martial arts community. Stephen Hayes does it also, but people kind of they still kind of shit on him.
Oh, very much so. Most that are in the know or have done the research truly do look at Professor Ronald Duncan as the father of American ninjutsu. A lot of people look at him like as the first American ninja. I mean, this dude has been demonstrating ninjutsu techniques and ninjutsu knowledge and ninjutsu training since the 60s. And dude is one of the very few that even received acknowledgement from the Japanese government in terms of ninjutsu. Unfortunately, I don't want to play the race card, but unfortunately, a lot of publications such as Black Belt Magazine, Karate Illustrated, Fighters Magazine, a lot of the popular martial arts publications of those days, of that era, intentionally omitted him for several years. And what sucks is we've said this numerous times on the show before. We didn't have the internet back then. We didn't have YouTube, we didn't have TikTok, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have any of that shit. So Black Belt was the leading authority, I should say the leading authority in regards to a who's who of martial resources. And it was a damn shame that there for years was just a failure to acknowledge Professor Duncan and everything that he has done. And it's not just him, but it was other, black martial artists as well. But like I said, we're focusing on ninjas at the moment, so Professor Duncan was definitely one that was omitted. Like Justice was saying, he traveled all over Japan as a member of the United States Marine Corps. The dude was on the fucking judo team. He was a black belt in judo. These are just some of his accolades. Black belt in judo, a master of Hokuryu Jiu-Jitsu, Dai Nippon Jiu-Jitsu Ryu, Soshuishi Ryu, Kendai Gaku Ryu, Aikido, Aiki Jiu-Jitsu, Kempo with an M, not an N, Kobu Jitsu, Shinobi Jitsu, aka Ninjutsu. Now I wanted to focus on that one, the Shinobino Jitsu. Shinobino Jitsu, also known as Ninjutsu, way of the Shadow Warrior. In Japan, ninjas are more referred to as shinobi than that of ninjas. Ninja is actually the Chinese term for shinobi. And the reason why I bring that up is because that's one of the ways that you can kind of spot a person's legitimacy. If you trained in Japan, got certified in Japan, and were recognized in Japan, you would not have certification stating that you are a ninja. A lot of it would state shinobi or shinobi no jitsu. And the fact that Ronald Duncan was one of the very few people that could actually produce that paperwork and that documentation, as far as I'm concerned, solidifies him as the truth to me.
I agree.
Bravo, sir.
Yeah.
Now, I do say some of his videos don't help his case. That, unfortunately, I have to shit on. Some of his training videos that whoever leaked that shit on YouTube did not do a good job of really.
I mean, I can give it a pass just because like these are clearly videos from like the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, but one of them was pretty bad, dude. The guy just hiding behind a bush, doing a cartwheel whenever somebody walks by to disappear. That's not a good look. But in one of the videos, is one thing I actually really did enjoy, where he actually takes this large rolled up scroll mat, and when he unrolls it, it displays all of the ninjutsu weapons that he is trained in. Everything from the bow to the kunai to the throwing stars to the caliprits to the fucking hand claw dagger things and foot spikes. I thought that was dope that this dude was able to actually showcase that he not only has all this shit, but can actually use this shit, and it's not just for show. So I got to give Grandmaster Ronald Duncan a lot of respect.
Yeah, and again, I piggyback on what you said earlier. When you look back and you realize that he was doing this at a time where, you know, you really couldn't be drinking out of the same water fountain as some people. and eat in some places or some people. So just imagine what he was going through during all that.
Oh yeah. The
So,
uphill battle that he must have faced had to be fucking epic.
yeah.
Because you don't see a lot of his publications. I'm sure there was a lot of times he probably tried to get books out there and just immediately got shit on. But Stevens K. Hayes can put a book out on goddamn mind control and, charge $39.95 for it and people to eat that shit up. I've always wanted to know what the relationship between Robert Duncan and the founder of Bunjikan, because from what I can tell from my research, I don't see a whole lot of interaction between those two, if there even were. So it kind of makes me wonder, did he even go through those channels for his ninjutsu certification, or if he went through some other shit? Any idea, Justice?
From what I could gather, he did go through a more or less a non-traditional route.
Okay.
But again, given the times, given how he was traveling around with the military, being in Japan and traveling to different countries, I could just imagine how he was looked at and what he had to do to even do some of those things. So
True.
again, you might get a little bit of a pass, just a little bit.
'Cause I think he's one of the very few that can actually say, in terms of shinobi no jitsu or jiu-jitsu, I think he's one of the very few that can actually say he has trained and studied and received personal accreditation under the Koga Ryu style. And any of us that's ever watched any animes, or if we ever, watch fucking Naruto or some other shit, you hear the name Koga or Koga Ryu, you're talking about a legitimacy or a history that goes back through damn near the annals history of Japan. And that's amazing to me that this dude, you know, is a part of that lineage.
I saw something about the Bujinkan. Apparently, it was founded in 1972, and Duncan looks like he was practicing before that. But there's just been a timing thing as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy that goes around in regards to Professor Duncan and the Bunjikan system. Some say that it's what's his name? I gotta learn to say his damn name right. A lot of people say that it is Masaki Hatsumi, who was the first one to really popularize Americans and American ninjutsu, along with his students, Stephen K. Hayes, Robert Bussey, and a number of others. But there's some that say that Robert Duncan was actually doing this shit long before Bunjikan was even a school.
Yeah.
Well, when was Bujinkan a school?
Depends on who you ask. You let Matsuki explain it. It's been some shit that's been passed down from father to son, warrior to warrior. Dating back to the feudal days of Japan. So it's kind of hard to argue it. But again, you're talking about a time era of like the '60s, where no offense, if you look like me and Justice, you weren't getting that TV time.
That's true, and it's hard to verify everything.
Mm-hmm.
You're just taking in what's shown.
Exactly. So that was one of the things that I wanted to touch on in regards to Professor Duncan, because he never gets the mention that I feel he deserves, and especially whenever you start talking about ninjas and ninjutsu, his name is oftentimes omitted. Funny thing is, he has a student that kind of goes into our next topic in regards to ninjutsu and MMA. Does anyone know the notable student, or one of his most notable students, Professor Robert Duncan? Anybody? All right. Noticeable student of Professor Ronald Duncan, Ron Van Cleef. The Black Dragon himself was a student of Ronald Duncan. And Ron Van Cleef, till this day, is still the oldest competitor to ever step inside of the octagon and fight MMA. Yes, he got destroyed in a matter of moments by Hoist Gracie, but he still entered the octagon and damn near came out unscathed. Small fucking world we live in.
Also, apparently, he was way older as well.
Oh, yeah.
I said I always wondered about that matchup.
What do you mean you wondered about that matchup? They had a senior citizen.
I mean,
and they were like, we're not going to
exactly.
put him in there with some fucking 21-year-old full of piss and vinegar. Let's go ahead and put him in there with another ailing old man. Hoist is going to take him down, send his ass to Choke City. No harm, no foul. Everybody leaves unscathed.
Yeah, that was the problem because I felt like that would have been the easiest fight for him.
And wait, he just fight for who? Ron Van Cleef or for Hoist?
For Hoist.
And it was. He took him down and choked him out in that matter of seconds.
Yeah.
I always looked at it as I kind of thought it was more of a it's gonna sound kind of fucked up. It was kind of a mercy killing. You know, you don't send this old man to go out there and fight the fucking Carlos Condits of the world, or can you imagine Ron Van Cleef versus GSP? That'd have been fucking brutal. Instead, you send this old war fossil out there, have him fight another war fossil, have him get taken down, choked out, call it a day. You got to say that you did it. You got to, you got to make your master proud, yada, yada, yada. But most importantly, you didn't get fucked up. And by Ron Van Cleef's own words, it was because of that loss is what made him start introducing groundwork into his style. So, some good come out of it.
Yeah.
But speaking of ninjas, MMA, and UFC, gentlemen, and for all the listeners out there, what if I told you, right here and right now, out of this lineage that we have named off in regards to Masaki Hatsumi, the Bunjinkan, Stephen K. Hayes, Robert Bussey, Professor Ronald Duncan, Shinobi no Jitsu, Koguryu Ninjutsu, etc. What if I told you, here and now, throughout the annals of history of the UFC, there have in fact been not only competitors that are certified and registered and trained ninjas, but there has also been a UFC champion till this day to have won, received, and can hold that UFC title belt high over his head. There has been, in fact, a ninja UFC champion. Now, for many people listening, that sounds absolutely absurd. Man, that shit wouldn't work inside the octagon. You get fucked up. You go out there and try to drop that smoke bomb, get choked the fuck out. Shit ain't real. Try to climb the wall and get shadow kicked into goddamn death. And you'd be right to think that. But history does not lie. There is, in fact, an American ninja by the name of Steve Jenum, Stevejennum, I think, Jenum. UFC 3, I believe. Is that correct?
Yep.
That is correct.
That man walked out of there UFC champion. Now, I'm going to turn this over to the man that truly needs no introduction, the living embodiment of all things martial knowledge, Justice, fill us in on UFC 3 and how we ended up with a Ninja Warrior as champion.
Well, so UFC 3 was the famous for MMA fans or no holds barred fans. That was also the event of the famous Chemo Leopoldo fight with Hoist Gracie, in which, there was some questionable tactics. We won't go and get into all of that. But Hoist Gracie won the match, but he lost the fight and could not continue. So earlier that night, they had a couple of prelims, and Steve Jenham happened to be one, and he was chosen to take Hoist Gracie's his spot, and he fought Harold Howard, and man, he cracked Harold Howard.
He
Cracked.
did.
I
If you
mean,
want to see a good video, folks, look up Harold Howard's UFC promotional video.
yeah, Harold Howard, he cracked him like hard, had him bleeding
Also
everywhere.
important to the podcast, Justice, where did it take place at?
Oh, Charlotte, North Carolina.
The Grady Cole Center.
Oh, yeah.
It did. So yeah, that was some history for people from Charlotte, staying in Charlotte. Yes, Steve Jenham, a ninja, won the Ultimate Fighting Championship 3 in Charlotte.
Fair and square. As an alternate, but still fair and square.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude has one of the shortest fucking MMA careers, but is still a UFC champion. Still like total of like 5 fights or some shit. That shit is
Yeah.
amazing. But what makes that even more impressive was the fact of who he was trained by. So again, we're going full circle here, folks, in terms of awesomeness and absurdity. Steve Jenham, his coach, his teacher, his martial arts instructor was none other than Bunjikan Ninja graduate himself, Robert Bussey. Now, Robert Bussey was a staple in Black Belt and Karate Illustrated magazines of the 80s and 90s. His articles were everywhere. Honestly, as a person who has grown up reading those articles and reading those magazines, I've actually always enjoyed Robert Bussey's take on self-defense. He had a very real-world application ideal set, which I could see how would have rubbed the ninja community the wrong way. He wasn't opposed to just kicking a motherfucker in the dick to win a fight. He wasn't opposed to just gouging your fucking eyeballs, kicking you in the nuts, throwing some dirt in your face in order to win. He didn't hide behind all that mysticism and hand gestures and open up your chakra points and all that other shit. He was all about good technique, solid fist, and punch a motherfucker in the mouth. I can definitely understand why over the years he would have had a falling out with the Bunjikan system. He went off to create, if I remember it right, Robert Bussey Warrior International, where you got the likes of Steve Jenham, Scott Morris. Now I bring up Scott Morris because Scott Morris was another student of Robert Bussey who also fought in the UFC. Now I say that because Scott can't really say the same accolades that Jenham had. But I'll say this much. His contribution to MMA should honestly be looked highly upon because of him, we have got a centralized set of rules. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, if you get a chance, I implore you to just YouTube Pat Smith versus what's his name?
Morris.
Scott Morris. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. That is hands down one of the shortest fights, one of the most dangerous fights, and the outcome was absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. If I remember right, it goes something like this. Those two men enter the octagon. Scott Morris runs at him for whatever reason. He's reversed, taken down. Pat Smith ends up on top, and then basically proceeds to cave his entire face in with elbows until Big John. Actually, no, Big John isn't going to break it up. He cracks him so goddamn hard and smashes his face with elbows that he just gets up and walks off. Damage done. End of Scott Morris. End of that particular American Ninja. Did I leave anything off on that?
The fact that he didn't die is a miracle. Because like, if you
Yeah.
ever watch that fight, that's the reason why there's the just bleed part of UFC from back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, Pat Smith did throw a knee that most people don't see during that takedown. So that might have caused Morris to hit the ground, which is still, weird in itself because Steve Gentleman had a ground game, and they came from the same background.
Yeah, but even at like professional gyms, there's still a difference between this guy and that guy.
You want to know what I think is absolutely amazing in regards to Steve Jenham, Scott Morris, Robert Bussey? Matter of fact, I'm just going to say it for the majority of the Robert Bussey Warrior International group altogether. I am amazed at the legacy, not only that they have left behind, but it's a legacy that they still carry till this day. Robert Bussey is actually still involved in the MMA scene in Texas.
Is it really?
Yes.
He is.
Is there anyone we would know of that's fighting nowadays?
I'm not sure if anyone that we would know of, because it is a local production out in Texas. What he does, I'm sure if we were out in Texas, we would have a better understanding or a better viewpoint. But the fact that this man is still
Gotcha.
out there till this day, promoting fights, training fighters, putting people out there, that shit is amazing. At the end of the day, that's nothing short of incredible. These guys are early pioneers of what we know today as MMA. And they did it as ninjas, stood by their ninjutsu training. Whether it be wins or losses, doesn't matter. They still, at the end of the day, fought in the upper echelons of MMA, lived to tell the tale, and are creating fighters for this new generation. That shit is absolutely amazing. I believe that Robert Bussey disbanded the Warrior International group. I want to say it was sometime in the late 90s, I believe. Because if I remember right, I think he disbanded it to go on to do like security and protection work for people.
Well, the last I known it was Bussey's Black Belt Society.
Oh, it's what now?
Bussey's Black Belt Society.
Oh, shit. Okay. Agreed. That's fucking awesome, though. The fact that they're still out there doing this shit. Like, you can actually look these guys up on Facebook right now, and they're still out there. Still promoting ninjutsu for what it's worth. Standing by those teachings and making it work.
So Extreme Knockout is the name of the promotion that they are a part of.
Like XKO or something like that?
Yeah. Which still is amazing just because, you know, that lineage, and Texas being the fight state, is that's a long time to be involved in combat sports or martial arts period, you know.
Mm. what I understand in regards to, and again, this is just what I've read on the internet. I don't know if this is 100% accurate, so let me give that disclaimer now. But from what I understand, is that Hatsumi from the Bunjikan wanted Bussy to be his main American representative, but Bussy wanted to modernize the system and didn't really want to be a part of the more spiritual and cosmic energy aspect of ninjutsu. And I think in order to prove his point, that was one of the reasons why he had his guys enter competitions like the UFC in order to prove that being more realistic was the way to go. Some people refer to Bussy as a fraud. Some people refer to him as a joke. Some people say that his rank was bullshit. Supposedly, Matsaki Hatsumi booted him out of the Bunjikan system, so that's why he had to go off and do his own shit. You know, obviously these are all just rumors. You know, no one really knows what the exact cause of the rift was. But from what I do understand is that there definitely was a rift between those two. Seems to be par for the course for
Well, when one's testing it in actual full contact sport and one's not, I kind of feel like I know which one to trust.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I remember in the back of Black Belt magazine, I used to look at remember those Panther production videotapes that they used to have in the back. I remember Robert.
Man.
I remember he had a 5-tape Warrior International video set, and man, I remember the covers of those boxes. Some of those used to make me laugh, but others I always thought was really interesting, especially when he was dubbed the King of Combat. And a lot of people couldn't argue that because he had a student that became a UFC champion.
And I mean, a lot of the stuff that he thought about, you know, when he talked about modernizing ninjutsu,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't it wasn't anything like you said, it wasn't anything far fetched or anything crazy spiritual.
It was true to life
He was
shit.
trying to make it, yeah, he was trying to legitimize it, and he was treated like shit. To be
Yeah.
honest,
So it actually doesn't surprise me that he got booted from the Budokan system. What does surprise me, though, is that he gets lumped into the category of being a fraud when you really think about a lot of the stuff that he was trying to explain is par for the course today. This dude was talking about learning how to fight on the ground before that shit was even popular. A lot
I
of
think it's just because of the stigmatism of being a ninja is really
maybe,
what hurt him.
possibly, but a lot of the stuff, like I said, a lot of the stuff that he was talking about in the magazines made a lot of sense. You know, like I remember one article where dude's talking about catching a kick, sweeping the guy, and then instead of falling him to the ground, rear back, put him in a fucking heel hook, and just break his shit and run off.
yeah. Hence the reason why I said that again. The ground game of Steve Jennum was surprising
Yeah,
because in UFC 4 he won his next match by armbar.
I think
So
Steve Jennum, if I remember correctly from watching old UFC tapes, is just he was a third-degree black belt. And I'm not sure what Scott Moore's had, but I don't think he was advanced as, Steve Jennum was.
I mean that doesn't matter. It's still the system. What I'm trying to explain, the system is still there. So in that system that he's trying to modernize, he's still trying to legitimize it, even at that time with going to the ground. Same thing Tazz was saying. He's trying to modernize it and make it, you know, legitimate. And I think I'm gonna be honest. I think it was just the ninja nerds that had a problem with it.
yeah. Because it's funny because, like, if you look at the stuff Robert Bussey was talking about back in the 80s and 90s, and then you look at, let's say, like a modern Stephen K. Hayes book, a lot of that shit Stephen K. Hayes is doing in that book, he copied from Robert Bussey. A lot of the ground techniques, a lot of the fighting out of the guard, and doing all types of sweeps off from the bottom, fucking arm bars. Dude, I have ninja books from the fucking 80s from Stephen K. Hayes. There's no arm bars in that shit. They weren't doing that shit. Robert Bussey was talking about real world applications before it became the popular thing to do. And I think Justice is right. I think a lot of it was the fucking ninja nerds that just couldn't handle the idea of that shit. You can't do that. We gotta pray to the mystic force. And we gotta get our enchanted ninja blade.
So was it just the simple fact that it didn't really match up to what was in pop culture, not like actual ninjas and jitsu?
I think that, and plus the UFC. Like, yes, Steve Denham was in it, and he was a ninja system in it, but people are still saying, like, oh yeah, the X, Y, and Z martial art doesn't work. UFC, no holds bars, that's the shit. That's where you need to do.
It's the stigma against traditional martial arts that is bred by MMA. How many times have we heard karate wouldn't work in MMA, but then you had the Machida era?
I mean, not even just that. Even you still have Wonder Boy and other guys who are using karate in UFC and other promotions.
I was going to get to that, but I was going to say, like, you have guys, spinning shit won't work. And then you got guys getting laid the fuck out with spinning heel kicks. There was a long stigma of, if your shit wasn't MMA, you can't fight. And that couldn't be any further from the truth. When you get guys like Machida who are going in there, yeah, granted, Machida's a black belt in BJJ, you didn't really see it because he was too busy knocking you the fuck out with reverse punches and step-in karate-style knees. And you damn sure didn't see that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt when Jones choked him lifeless, but it's amazing how, like, someone would use a traditional martial art technique and then they make it work, and then all of a sudden people act like it's some new shit. Benson Henderson was calf-kicking motherfuckers all the way back in WEC. And then the moment someone couldn't continue after being calf-kicked, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Whoa. MMA is such a forever evolving sport. Bro, what? No. That is a traditional martial art move found in almost every stand-up style. Cairo Parisian, if he could have stayed off goddamn drugs and alcohol, Cairo Parisian, before Ronda Rousey, was one of the best examples of mitigating judo in MMA.
That is true. Matter of fact, his family, with what's his name? The guy, head movement guy. I think they're like related or something like that, or a close family. That's where Ronda got a lot of her training from. A lot of things done when it came to her MMA. So yeah.
I didn't realize they were family. Oh,
yeah,
shit.
like they're all Armenian. I think the same lineage. Like not close, but they're close.
That's still fucking impressive. Yeah, over the years, MMA has had this knack for making people believe your traditional martial art won't work. And it's easy to see that when you're fighting under particular rule sets. I'm not convinced that Eagle Claw Kung Fu shit wouldn't work if you take this motherfucker to the ground and you let him Eagle Claw your balls. I guarantee you'd let him go.
Argue with
I mean,
that.
I would, yeah.
I guarantee it. If you let somebody goddamn razor, talon, claw your fucking nutsack, I guarantee your armbar ain't gonna work.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second?
By all means, please do.
So now, with that being said, what we do see that a lot of combat athletes have traditional backgrounds coming from other parts of the world. Is it just a Western thing?
That is a good question.
That is a good question. And honestly,
Because
I wouldn't even know how to answer that.
Because I see a lot of, even on the boards with Ronald Duncan, Robert Bussey, even Stephen Hayes. I see a lot of people that are not like, it's not people from the East. It's all people from the Western world, or what we call the West. Because when you think about kickboxing, a lot of those guys, once you get past the UK, they have karate background.
Yeah. karate backgrounds,
kung fu
taekwondo backgrounds,
backgrounds.
kung fu backgrounds. I I think you might be
Yeah,
on some. I think it is a Western stigma, to be honest with you.
yeah, everybody. It seems like every box in Japan is a karate black belt. Just something to think about. That's all. Because it's something I think about. It's like, who really has a problem with the traditionalized or modernizing traditional system? And it actually goes into something that we talked about recently at the gym.
But yeah, I just wanted to touch base in regards to kind of shitting on some of the stigma that if you're not doing MMA, you don't know how to fight. Only real MMA fighters can earn fucking gold in UFC. No, there's been cats from all types of different styles and backgrounds to win UFC gold, and it just made me feel good that we're talking about the the ninjas, and it gives me joy to say that's right. Yeah, a ninja was a UFC champion. Think about that shit. Eat it. Speaking of things to think about, I've been waiting all week to touch base on this. Gentlemen, have any of you had a chance to venture down the rabbit hole that is known as Soke Anshu Krista Jacobson, aka the head mistress of the Budo Ryukai, aka Budo Ryu Ninjutsu?
You know what? Somebody else can start us.
You know what? I'm feeling frisky. I'll go ahead and do it. So for those of you who don't know, Krista Jacobson, aka the head mistress of the Budo Ryukai, she is a member of the World Martial Arts Hall of Fame and is said to be the only non-Japanese to receive a Menkyo Kaiden, which apparently is the highest level license that exists in all of Japanese martial arts. I'm going to hold all my opinions and comments and views in regards to that one because I have no idea.
I mean,
Is that a real thing?
they are. That's a Decepticon, right?
So, for those curious in regards to what justice might mean in regards to a Decepticon, I was getting to that. Krista Jacobson is a male to female transgender, and is trying to lead the way in regards to revitalizing the ninjutsu training systems and ninjutsu ways of life. Like I said, she is the only non-Japanese to receive such an honor in the Menkyo Kaiden, once again, the highest level license that exists in all of Japan or all of Japanese martial arts. She has a Soke ship, which is basically a Grandmaster title. And, yeah, I do question and wonder, how does one have a Grandmaster title when the current Grandmaster of the Bunjikan is still Grandmastering? I'm not quite sure how that works, but you know, um, I guess they do it differently in Japan. But she was looking to bring back the tradition of Japanese bujitsu, something that she has felt has been lost in the modern world, and hence why she established the Budo Ryukai, meaning School of the Warrior Way, for those who are wondering what that translates to. Yep. It was developed.
Which from her videos looks like her backyard and garage.
It does look like a very it looks like a very minimalistic way of training. I guess that's taking it back to its ninjutsu roots, where there weren't any training halls per se. Yeah, the Budo Ryukai was developed by her personal research, her personal training and experience, as well as the collection of 7 Japanese warrior traditions called the Nana Mushuden. Yeah, and combining all of these facets into a fully developed one's mind, body, and spirit is one. Yeah. If you're wondering what those 7 arts are, the 7 arts taught in the Budo Ryu Kai system are Koku Ryu Kempo, Tenjin Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, Tomo Ryu Shinbo Jitsu, Aishin Ryu Aijitsu, Kodo Ryu Kopo Jitsu, Gyoko Ryu Koshin Jiu-Jitsu, and Tokakara Ryu Ninpo Taijitsu. I told you, I was looking forward to this shit. And outside of the martial arts, she's also a licensed bail enforcement agent, aka bounty hunter, in Kansas City.
That was good bail in Kansas, folks.
Yeah. So, where you want to begin?
Just go. just go.
All right.
What's
Man. Okay.
It just seemed like a money grab to me. I'm sorry.
It's gotta be.
yeah?
Just that's it. Just money grab.
I mean, from a martial arts standpoint, when you talking about traditions and things like that, when you water it down and put it online, yeah, it's money. It's a money grab.
Yeah.
And then I'm confused about all this training they did in a short amount of time.
It's pretty it's it's pretty much just one day here we are, and then now I'm a grandmaster, and at least with
I have 2 titles.
at least with Masaki Hatsumi, you're talking about a guy who's what, damn near almost 100 years old.
I think he's like 88.
Okay, so 88 years old, and has clearly been doing this since he was a child. That makes more sense to me in regards to your grandmaster status. Man, she uses some pretty colorful language when she describes the problem that's with other systems.
Yeah. yeah.
Yeah.
Words we cannot repeat.
A strong use of the F word that rhymes with maggot. Yeah. I don't
And
I don't want to accuse her of being a fraud because I don't actually know. I don't really know much about her background, but just from what little bit that I've seen on doing my own research, I'm amazed at all of these accomplishments in such a short time, and you know, personal life choices aside, I don't even give a shit that she's transgender. That means absolutely nothing to me. From a martial arts standpoint, do what you want, be what you want. I don't give a shit. It's just when you're calling yourself a soke and an anshu, and you're literally ripping apart other systems and styles, and through no resource that I've been able to find, I don't see anything that honestly separates her from like the Ashita Kims of the world. Even the different technique work that I see of her in her backyard doing the sword fighting or whatever. Again, these are all with complacent individuals who are just happy to be seen on the internet.
So she apparently has two legitimate, and I'm using legitimate very lightly, things about her as far as martial arts goes in her background. So she does have a first degree black belt in American Kenpo, but
That actually makes a lot of sense.
the distance learning certificate. So take that as you will. And
Oh man,
That makes a lot of sense as well.
Oh man.
and call back to Stephen Hayes, she has a certification from him that was also distance learning. And that's about it.
Oh man. I don't know if you
The American Kempo thing makes a lot of sense based on some of the techniques she does in her videos.
See, why is it hashtag Kempo Karate though?
Because she's a Kempo stylist. Yeah, that actually explains a lot because I came across a video of hers where it's about a 10-minute video of explaining how to say Kempo.
Took 10 minutes.
It's explain there. So there's Kempo with an N and Kempo with an M, and she breaks down the appropriate ways to say it and to which art it actually is referring to. And then I lost interest and went and did something else.
Which that has been an argument that has been going through the test of time and will always be debated upon.
The question is, who signed up for these classes?
I mean, who
That's
wouldn't want
the
a
question.
distance learning jiu-jitsu, or I'm sorry, a distance learning ninjutsu certification? I mean, at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge this is nothing new. This is nothing new at all. We've had the distance learning shit from back in the day.
Yeah, Melon Instructionals.
Yeah, we had that shit back in, the days of Black Belt magazine. Order these fucking 10 tapes and you too can be a fucking Winter Soldier ninja. Except back then, all you had was a picture to go off of. Who was the you remember this, Justice? Who was the we talked about it before? The Native American dude that it was clearly just Kempo karate.
Oh man, oh,
But it had a dude
that guy.
holding a fucking tomahawk in one hand, a knife in the other, wearing like the Native American moccasin shit, and it looked like he was like running towards the camera, and it was like such and such and such, red eagle falcon fist, some shit of the.
Oh my god, I know what you're talking about.
And then at the bottom it'd be like Kempo karate.
That's crazy. Like, I mean, people really did order that shit.
Oh yeah.
I think Kempo is the biggest community for that.
I think so too.
Because like I remember seeing stuff even as a kid where like, yeah, mail in, you'll get your belt and a ring.
Oh, you remember the ring with the fucking dragon on the top and the tiger on the bottom? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have to say goodbye to the Coos. He has to head out for some other shit. But Coos, I appreciate you coming on, big dog, and I'm hoping to be on the next episode as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely,
It was a
man.
pleasure. Can't wait for the next one.
Hell yeah. So now march to my favorite part of the show, Lobo. Are you ready, sir? Synopsize our wonderful, and I do mean wonderful, craptacular karate flick. Sho Kosugi's 9 Deaths of the Ninja. After the break, sir.
And now, our feature presentation.
So what happens when Pam Grier and Dr. Strangelove team up to kick the USA out of Southeast Asia?
Yes. You get 9 deaths with a fucking ninja. That's what.
Oh man, this movie is something else. It's like our story begins with our 3 heroes doing a training exercise in the middle of nowhere. It's like, I've never been in the military, but I can't imagine a super special anti-terrorist organization being comprised of 3 people.
I mean, you have Snake Shinobi.
Yeah, he was captain of the dart team, according to their general. Like, you couldn't give him anything else other than dart team captain. Favorite part of this movie is the James Bond title sequence. So then after all that, you have a Pam Grier lookalike who kidnaps a bunch of children. And apparently, I had to rewatch the movie to confirm this, but one of the guys on there was a senator who was in charge of the DEA.
Is that who that was supposed to be?
Yeah, the guy at the end that he saves, that's supposedly a senator, a U.S. senator.
Oh. I thought it was just some random fucking adult.
No. I was like, there's got to be more to this than what I'm seeing.
Dude, this was dog shit.
That is an understatement. Like, Pam Grier shows up with her revolutionaries. It's not really Pam Grier as much as I wish it was. And then some Nazi in a wheelchair and his gang of rednecks.
Dude, that fucking guy in the wheelchair had to be the most cartoon type bad guy I've ever seen.
Man, listen, his accent was
It
terrible.
was horrible. His accent was horrible. Like his zany antics.
Can't you tell I'm German? I was really hoping this movie was going to be really fun. Just a fun, cheesy 1980s ninja movie. We got that in 5-minute bits. There's a 5-minute scene in the beginning, a 5-minute scene in the middle, and a 5-minute scene at the end.
I have to disagree. I thought there were a lot of fun moments in this movie. That opening sequence of him swinging a sword and the Bond girls dancing around him, oh, that was pure magic. Bro, his ninja outfit made the movie for me. Bro, the mesh see-through shirt with the throwing stars on the sleeves. This motherfucker had a belt full of throwing stars.
And lollipops.
Oh, and Lollipop. Lollipop was his fucking co-name. What the fuck?
What?
So to paint this picture, you have these 3 quote-unquote agents. You have hot blonde girl who's supposed to be like, I guess, communications, and all she does is talk on a fucking headset. That's all she did was talking to a headset. Then you had the fucking handsome playboy ladies man who couldn't fight for shit, who I don't even think he actually even understood what his job was. And between him and blonde girl, they have the most unrealistic firearms in the world. If I'm not mistaken, doesn't she shoot a guy in the foot with an epoxy gun and he can't move?
And told him he wasn't man enough to move.
Yeah, they said you're not man enough.
Yeah, she shoots him with a fucking glue gun and he's just stuck there.
And the other dude has like this fucking handheld Tommy gun that he could just hold with one hand as he's firing like 1,000,000 fucking bullets and he doesn't hit shit. Like, no one gets shot in this fucking movie. Random explosions and people just fall over. And then you have poor Sho Kosugi. Someone help me understand. Did they try to Fast and Furious his katana sword? That shit was like aluminum and then had like a hand guard and like a blade guard on it or some other shit. There's this one scene where he's holding what's clearly a sai. and dude blows into the handle of the sai. And then apparently a poison dart flies out the top.
So that's surprisingly that's not even the weirdest part of this movie.
Oh, it's not.
So there's also a plot line of where this I guess he's a terrorist, but they just let him go from prison, and then they're tracking him, and then he kills a guy and escapes.
Yeah, he
And then he
killed the
shows
guy
up
driving.
later, and then he shows up later, builds a bomb that doesn't blow up anything, and he gets killed.
Oh my god, it's so bad, dude. It's so fucking bad. Now, correct me if I'm wrong,
Also,
were those his kids on
Sho
the bus?
Kosugi his character is supposed to have a lesson learned about not turning your back on an enemy, because earlier in the film he gets disowned by his ninja clan for not killing a female rival ninja from stabbing him in the back,
Oh shit, that's right. I forgot about that.
which then later happens in the movie, and he doesn't learn his lesson that you're not supposed to turn your back on an enemy.
There was a scene where this dude hijacks a fucking helicopter, takes out the dude in the back seat, rolls him out the fucking side door, fights this like Indian dude, kicks him out of the fucking helicopter. They fly to some island where dude strips down to his fucking skivvies, swims to a fucking boat, knocks out one random dude, and then puts a fucking knife to the throat of a bartender. Asks the bartender one question, and then
Just leaves.
it just fucking leaves. Just jumps back into the
Meanwhile, the American guy just has two Asian women tied to a tree.
just randomly.
It's like they just show up at island like, hey, how's it going? All right, you're our prisoners now. What the fuck
Talking
is
about how much money he had.
Yeah.
that? Yeah, he was. He's just got a gun pointed to these two chicks tied to a tree. He's like, you know I'm a millionaire, right?
And it's about, yeah, we'll clean your pipes for you. Like, what the fuck?
But listen, the first one of the first scenes, the guy that was in prison that they let out. You know, it's just me, but he's sitting by that window, and all I hear is, and him rubbing his chest. I'm like, what's going on here?
Oh, you mean before they let him out?
Fucking
Yeah, I'm like, what?
horrible.
What's going on here? Like, this
Dude,
is
that was so
weird.
fucking bad. So bad. Oh my god. What? Were those his on the bus?
In real life, yes.
Well, I
In the
mean,
movie, no.
Okay, so they were just two random Asian kids that happened to have nunchucks and no ninjutsu.
Were those nunchucks, sir?
Also, for a movie called Nine Deaths of a Ninja, there's not a lot of ninjas in it.
There's not. And what were the 9 deaths? Again, this is one of those video store rentals from back in the day that, again, 80s, 90s ninja craze. This goddamn movie used to get rented every fucking week. This,
I can imagine.
Ninja, and Ninja 3 The Domination. We could never keep these fuckers in stock. So as always, gentlemen, when it comes to our craptacular karate review, we go on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being absolute dog shit Hershey Squirts doo-doo balls, one of the worst things ever put on film. All the way up to 5 being the most cinematic kick to the nuts of pure awesomeness that any man could ever hope for. Lobo, how would you rate this shit film?
In all honesty, I wasn't bored watching it, so I'm gonna have to give it a 1.5.
Okay, alright. Justice?
I'm gonna give it a 2. It's so cheesy that like Lobo said, it's entertaining, and it's funny. It's some funny stuff in it.
Okay, so we got a 1.5, we got a 2. I'm odd man out. I'm gonna give this movie a solid 3. This is so cheesy and so bad that there's not a boring moment in this film. Between the horrible acting, Sho Kosugi's horrible dubbing, to fight scenes that don't make any sense. You could not get away with that today. You cannot just knife fight a bitch on the beach, throw her down, pin her arms behind her head in the sand, fully mount her, gyrate a few times, and then just leave her laying in the sand.
In a Speedo.
In a Speedo.
And a Speedo, yeah.
In front of witnesses. You're done, sir. And then the egregiousness at the end, when, I guess, Ladies Man decides to put the moves on Communication Girl, he's just like, yeah, I'm going to rub my finger between your tits and walk you off somewhere. What?
After an entire film where they clearly hate each other.
What? And then this motherfucker gives children lollipops. Bro, you will be arrested. You will be arrested immediately. Oh, man. Justice. I have to ask, sir, do we have a technique of the day, sir?
Oh, we sure do.
Oh.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
Hear this after the break.
Improve your skills, son. Harden your body. Become the number one man. Do not ever let anyone beat you.
Man, technique of the day. See, this helps when you're being attacked by little people. So what you're going to do is when you're attacked by a little person, you're going to just step over him, grab him by the head, spin him around, pick him up and shake him a few times, and then just toss him to the side. And they just go away.
And they're never seen again. Oh my god. I thought you were gonna say dress up like an old man with an aluminum cane and beat the shit out of people.
Nah, the little person, I'm like, wait, hold on. Did he just spin him around and pick him up and shake him like
Okay, for more context, there's a gang of little people that just show up in this movie.
Randomly.
They're all dressed like South American pimps for some reason.
Oh my god. That's amazing.
What happened with the lady that was attacking with the knife? She just got tired and said, all right, you get him, little people. Just ran away.
And that was it. What happened to the guy when dude dressed up like a senior citizen, whooped their ass with the cane, they walk a guy over to like a tuk-tuk, and he's never seen again?
Just gone. Oh, and then there was the other thing. We did see one technique from a ninja. He did do a forward flip 20 feet in the air.
That was impressive.
It was. Made a guy jump off a balcony. And the guy just jumped off, landed on the table. And then this is the crazy part. He said he tested him to see if he was breathing. Looked back at his partner and said, hey, that's his last jump.
Oh shit.
Oh, and that's all. That was it. He just...
Oh man. Well, since you're on such a roll, sir, after the break, go ahead and take us down memory lane.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
Now let me take a trip down memory lane.
All right, so we talked about one or two, actually two MMA fighters with backgrounds in ninjutsu.
Right.
But wait,
Scott Morris, Steve Jenham, yeah.
There's another, and we talked about him before. Ensign Inoue.
Oh shit.
Holy shit, he does?
Yeah.
Ensign Inoue started training ninjutsu in 2002 or 3,
Wow.
and has a 4th-degree black belt. Also, a background in BJJ and some other grappling arts and Shudo. But Instant in a way is a legend, man. Fought in Super Brawl. He was in the UFC. He was in Pride. So yeah, he fought around.
End of
So
the
if
ninja.
you ever get a chance, check him out. Legit ninja guy. Not many championships, but he fought. He led.
Hell yeah. I appreciate that, man. I forgot all about him. Man.
Yeah, a lot of people forget about him. He was he put in some work early on. No holds barred.
Hell yeah. Well, gentlemen, as always, another fantastic show. We're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap this up. This has been UFC Ninja Awesomeness and Absurdities Part 1. Later on down the line, we shall definitely be doing a part 2. Hell, maybe even a part 3, all depending on how far down the rabbit hole we go. I think we touched upon some great shit today. As always, I want to appreciate you guys coming out. Justice, Lobo, the Coos. Gentlemen, as always, I appreciate it. Let's get the fuck out of here. Be sure to listen, like, share, and subscribe for all the latest episodes, news, and updates. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at fistfights.friedricepodcast or at h8l.muay thai. On Twitter, follow us at h8l_fight talk.
When you take the pebble from my hand, it will be time for you to leave.
Thank you.